Hello, good morning. In today's class, we'll see about classification of magnetic materials. So before going to classification, we'll see some of the properties important like magnetic susceptibility, what is intensity of magnetization, etc. So first I have written here, so let me explain. Intensity of magnetization. The intensity, so we need all these terms when we study further, like classification of magnetic material, also the hysteresis property. So when we study hysteresis property, we need this I and the next definition which I am giving, that is H. Now intensity of magnetization. The intensity of magnetization is generally denoted by capital I. Intensity of magnetization is denoted by the letter I. So what exactly is the intensity? It represents the extent to which the material is magnetized. So it will give us an idea how much the material is magnetized. So we can define it mathematically as I is m by v. The intensity of magnetization I is m by v. So what are these m and v? Now m is the total magnetic moment and v is the volume of the material. So how much the material is magnetized, so we can know what is the magnetic moment per unit volume. Therefore intensity of magnetization is defined as the magnetic moment per unit volume of the magnetized material, and its SI unit is ampere per meter. So remember, intensity of magnetization is defined as the magnetic moment developed per unit volume. So this happens when the magnetic material or the specimen is subjected to a magnetizing field. So its SI unit is ampere per meter, where capital M is the magnetic moment and V is the volume. Now the next definition is magnetic field strength. So this will give us the idea of the strength of the field. So it is defined as the field strength. So we want to know, once the magnetic material is magnetized, how strong it is. So what is the strength of the field? Because we know a magnet has fields around it. So what is the strength of the field? So strength of the field is given by, or it can be defined as, at any point, we define it at point, near the material. So at any magnetic field strength at any point is defined as the force experienced by a unit north pole. For example, if you have a magnetic material which is magnetized, so bring a unit north pole and place it at some point and measure what is the force experienced by that unit north pole. That is nothing but the field strength. The field strength at any point is defined as the force experienced by a unit north pole when placed at that point, and it is denoted by H. The formula mathematically we can write H is B by mu, and the unit of H is same as the unit of I, the intensity, that is ampere per meter. Now next we have, I have not written here, so I'll just now write it, that is magnetic susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility. So how we can define magnetic susceptibility? So magnetic susceptibility of the magnetic substance is defined as the ratio of intensity of magnetization I to the magnetic intensity H. So it will give us an idea how easily we can magnetize a material. So based on magnetic susceptibility, we can classify the magnetic materials. So remember, magnetic susceptibility will give us an idea how easily we can magnetize that material. So you can define it as, it is defined as as the ratio of the intensity of magnetization, ratio of this I. In the previous case we have defined, right, ratio of intensity of magnetization to the field strength, ratio of the intensity of magnetization to the magnetic field strength. H. Okay, so we can write mathematically it as magnetic susceptibility Xm is equal to I by H. The magnetic susceptibility is defined as the ratio of the intensity of magnetization to the magnetic field strength. So what I can say that in a simple word, it gives us a measure of how easily a magnetic material can be magnetized, or a substance can be magnetized. So it is given by I by H. Now based on magnetic susceptibility, we can classify the magnetic materials into 3 categories. So next we will see the classification. Classification of magnetic materials. Magnetic materials are classified into 3 types. Okay. So first one is diamagnetic substances. So what are diamagnetic substances? A diamagnetic substances, in general you cannot magnetize these type of substances. So diamagnetic substances are those substances which have tendency to move away from stronger to the weaker part of the external magnetic field. Or what I can say is, when this substance is placed in an external magnetic field, it will be repelled by that field, or it moves away from a magnet. So I'll write here, these diamagnetic substances are those which have tendency to move from stronger to the weaker part of the external magnetic field. In other words, I can say that a magnet would repel a diamagnetic substances. So in other words, I can say a magnet would repel a diamagnetic substance. So you won't be able to magnetize this diamagnetic substances. Next is paramagnetic substances. Dia, para and ferro. So next is paramagnetic substances. Paramagnetic substances are those which get weakly magnetized when placed in an external magnetic field. So unlike diamagnetic substances which you cannot magnetize, paramagnetic substances can be weakly magnetized. So you can write paramagnetic substances are those substances which get weakly magnetized when placed in an external magnetic field. Now they have the tendency to move from a region of weak magnetic field to strong magnetic field, or they get weakly attracted to a magnet. So they get weakly attracted to a magnet. So if you take a paramagnetic substances near a magnet, they get weakly attracted. Paramagnetic substances are those which get weakly magnetized when placed in an external magnetic field. That is, if you place a paramagnetic substance near a magnet, it gets weakly attracted. Next is ferromagnetic substance, which you can strongly magnetized. So to get a magnet or to magnetize a substance, you have to take a ferromagnetic substance. Ferromagnetic substances are those which get strongly magnetized when placed in an external magnetic field. Or they have a strong tendency to move from a region of weak magnetic field to strong magnetic field, or I can say that they get strongly attracted to a magnet. They get strongly attracted to a magnet. Okay, so this classification is 3. I have not written that, so I'll just write it here. This is 3. So in general, you can categorize or classify the magnetic substances into 3 categories. They are diamagnetic, paramagnetic substances and ferromagnetic substances. Diamagnetic substances are those which actually are repelled by an external magnetic field, or when you take those substances near a magnet, they get repelled by a magnet. Whereas paramagnetic substances are those which are weakly attracted towards a magnet, or when you take a paramagnetic substance near to an external field or near to a magnet, it gets weakly attracted. Whereas on the other side, if you take a ferromagnetic substance near a magnet, it will be strongly attracted by the magnet. So I have told you in general what is diamagnetic, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic. So in the coming class, I'll give you example for these substances. So example for diamagnetic substance and para and ferromagnetic substance. Also I'll tell you like some of other properties of these substances, like what is the value of their permeability and what is the value of their susceptibility. That is the main thing. Susceptibility gives us how easily a material can be magnetized. So we should know what is the value of susceptibility of a diamagnetic substance, para and ferro. So I'll give you these points in the coming class.